installation. The workspaces things are different version of Debian. Polybar was not in the repos. So if you're on, say, Ubuntu 20.04, the last LTS, you can't install Polybar without building it yourself. You have to go through and build it yourself. Actually, what we're going to need to do is open up another terminal and go into cd into my config file that I just created, and this is what it looks like. Now, if you see me use just V doing this, that's just an alias I have for Vim. So I'm going to Vim into my config file that I just created, and this is what it looks like. Now, your syntax highlighting might be different than mine because I have a whole bunch of Vim plugins that make it look cool. So yours might not look like this at all in terms of coloring, but for the layout, it should be exactly the same. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to create a launch script. So to do this, we're going to do touch launch.sh, and then we're going to chmod +x launch.sh. So what we did there, we're going to do the coloring, but for the layout, it should be exactly the same. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to create a launch script. So to do this, we're going to do touch launch.sh. And then we're going to chmod +x launch.sh.
Salita chứ.
I'm gonna change video enter. It should not be there.
Ui.
So what we did there is we made the script that we're going to need to use to launch Polybar every time we refresh the window manager or open the window manager, we've made that executable. So the next thing we need to do is go into that. So launch.sh. Now we need to click on this link here. And find the script that they recommend using. And that's right here. So what we need to do
Mode.
Chatera. Ô, cổng blue. Là sao ta?
Is copy and paste this part here and copy this and then paste it right here. Now this has some parts that we're not going to need because we're not going to actually have two different bars. This is used to launch Polybar every time we air in terms of color. Should have a we just created so dot config polybar. Okay, now if we cd into dot config polybar, we should do an ls here. We should have a config file, and we do if we vim into that. So in this case, well, I'm just going to use mvim. If you see me use just v doing this, that's just an alias I have for vim. So I'm going to vim into my config file that I just created, and this is what it looks like. Like. Now, your syntax highlighting might be different than mine because I have a whole bunch of vim, but for the, we need to create a launch script. So to chmod plus x launch.sh. So what we did there is we made the script that we're going to need to use to launch Polybar every time we. So the next, click on this link. What we need to do, paste it right here. Now this has some parts that we're not going to need because we're not going to actually have two different bars. But if you were going to have two different multiple monitors set up, simply because it's not the most efficient and it doesn't always work, I'd prefer an if statement. If you want to know more details about that, I would Fantastic launch.sh that kind of covers every single window manager out there, and you can just kind of copy the if statement for your particular window manager. But the reason why I would do that is because the if statement that they use really works well with multiple monitors. Sometimes you write a launch.sh script and it just doesn't work well with multiple monitors, but that's beside the point. Today we're just going to deal with one bar. So we're actually going to delete this line here, and the next thing we're going to want to do is change the name of our bar. Actually, you want
nó là file hệ thống.
leave the name of the bar the same, but the name of the bar is right here, Bar 1. And we want to make sure we keep that name in our minds. Or you can change it. If you'd rather call it something different, you can change it. Just change this word here to whatever you want. It should work just fine. I don't think that you need to change any of this stuff here. I believe it would still work. You can change those log file names if you want to. So once we got that, we're going to save that by pressing Shift file name. If you want to. So once we got that, we're going to save that by pressing Shift ZZ or :WQ. You can change those log file names if you want to. So once we got that, we're going to save that by pressing Shift ZZ or :WQ if you're using them. If you're using Nano, you'll have to do Control X and then enter a couple times. So now that we have that, we need to go into our config file, into config, and we need to change one line. So what we need to do is change this line here from example to bar 1. Oops, and I pressed the key, and of course I did. Bar 1. Oops, and I pressed the key, because of course I did. So we need to change this to bar 1, because that was the name in our script. So if we now save this, and we can actually quit out of this, and then we do /launch.sh, we now have Polybar. How about that? Now, you don't want to have to start your Polybar from the terminal. It's not very good that way. It's just not the way it's supposed to do. So what you need to do in our
It's not something else.
script. So if we now save this,
Mình phải viết cái modern battery nữa. Chỗ đó. So is over it. Yeah. Modern battery. It's time for matte changing, animation changing. Wow.
and we can actually right quit out of this. And then we do /launch. How about that? Now, you good that. We're going to see the way that we don't want to get confused. So what we need to my repo, you have an auto start file probably. Now is go into our BSPWM auto start file. So I'm going to CD into my repo, BSPWM, and then vim into autostart.sh. Now this is for BSPWM. You have an auto start sure here because like the full path to the script. So / whatever. You're officially, let's just get out of here. Up here you'll see that I actually have this line already. But this is the line that you'll need in an auto start file, just or in this case, so /launch.sh, and we want to put an ampersand behind that so that it continues on with the rest of the script. And we're gonna insert a comment here because this is my and now if I restart BSPWM, we should get polybar. And now if I restart BSPWM, we should get polybar, and we do. And this is the standard polybar configuration. It's completely set up this way. Now you could set up, and we're going to take what we have now, or what there may be some things that I don't cover because a well-rounded idea of how the configuration works, and I think you will. I'm going to cover a lot of the technical details behind some of this stuff. Okay, once you've deleted that text there at the top if you wanted to, the next thing we're going to do is define some colors. Now, I'm going to take the easy way out and use a theme that I already have prepared, but if you were going to go through and do this, the easiest way to do it is right here in the color section. Now, basically what's happening here is we're defining variables to associate with certain colors. So the background color is going to be this hex code. The background alternative is going to be this hex code, and so on and so forth. Now, there are several different ways you can go about doing this. You can go through and define the variables like I'm going to, or you can go through and each module later on just put in the hex code for whatever value you're trying to use. And I'll show you that more when we get there. For me, I'm going to just define the variables. Now, instead of me typing out 20 different hex codes on camera here, yank, and then paste, okay? And then we're going to close this out. Now, as you can see here, I just have a ton of colors defined and associated with variables. So I'll show you how to call these variables later on. But if we actually go through and do a write here and restart Polybar, you'll see that we now have a different background color. It's not very, it's way the X offset. What you're doing there is, and then I'm going to do fix center. Now you can see we're there. Like this is Polybar with a semicolon. Any space over there, things, whatever. Oh, that. And if you want to get them to line up so that they're, in line with each other, this is the number you need to play with. So in my case, I'm going to use the number 2, and we'll get out of this. And then once we get icons in there, I'll probably show you how that number actually, and change this to 3 as well. So we're gonna, and then we'll delete this. EMWH, EWMH, something like that. I don't really remember the order of the letters. You'll have to look that up on your own if you're using Xmonad, and that will be the equivalent of the BSPWM and i3 modules. It doesn't work the same, and it doesn't work as well if you're using Xmonad and Polybar together. It just doesn't, but you can set it up that way if you need to. I would for you to look at. So is put the workspaces up here. We can also do something like this, X window. Okay, so if we save this now and restart Polybar, what we'll actually see, and you'll see that because of our changed fonts, we're actually seeing more padding here. We'll change that in a bit. We have now a new module here called X window, and basically what X window does is just shows the title of the window. So we can leave that here. We're going to go ahead and delete the MPD one, because I don't use the MPD one, I use one called music. So we're actually going to go through and put in all of my modules right now. So by default, these are the which we're not actually going to see because I'm not on a, which is this one here, CPU. Sure why I never use those modules anyways. And then we have the power menu, which is all going to show up. And then when we restart this, all of our modules just go away, except for I learn how to save in Vim. When we restart this, the box. I'm going to write in mail, write in weather. I'm going to write now if I because okay, now the rest of this stuff you can mess around with as you want, or you can delete as you want. Like so, the X window one we used, but the X keyboard we didn't. So we can actually go through and delete this. So you can mess around with as you want, or you can delete as you want. Like so, the X window one we used, but the X keyboard we didn't. So we can actually go through and delete this. This is the thing that. So change this to 0. I'm going to change all of these to 0. Now, if you'll notice, when we restart this, it looks like we're going to need some more padding there. That was a little... change the padding. So change this to 0. I'm going to change all of these to 0. Now, if you'll notice, I'm going to change use it later on. Now, the BSPWM is the thing that we want to change. So the first thing we need to do is change the padding. So change this to 0. What I'm actually going to do, it looks like, so let's search for, say, web browser. And let's see if we can find an icon for a web browser. I don't have Firefox installed.
So we see a battery, and this is you see that? That's classic.
I don't really want the Firefox logo, but I don't see it. Let's search for internet. Oh, you want to just to troll people? We'll go ahead and use the Internet Explorer icon. Why not? So we'll go back to our configuration file here, and we'll change this word here. Oops. To this. So copy and paste the icon in. So now, if we go through and write this and restart, that actually didn't change anything. Why didn't it change anything? Oh, I don't know why. Okay. So in order for your icon to show up, icon actually got that, quick. We need to go up here and do icon percent and then delete the index part, I believe. And then we need to do that for all of these. So just change this word to, icon to wherever our browser was. Say the next one, say we wanted to have a terminal icon, so terminal, and then we'll select this one here, copy the glyph,
Cái này hay nè.
icon, start, copy and have fire. This again, 8, 9, icon dash 0. Alright, you can delete as you want. Like, so the X window one we used, but the X keyboard we didn't, so we can actually go through and delete this. And I'm going to leave the file system one there because I may use it later on. Now, the BSPWM is
BSPWM. Save. Then local IP. Oh, we don't need that. So it's weird for that. Okay, I don't like this local IP. Yes. So yes. I think it's okay. Keyboard. Tools, audio, simplify screen, and workspace. Okay. Seriously. So we'll the left is the workspace window. Workspace. It's workspace. It should be like a label name, label by name, label options, and label, and say the beddings, tie the internal workspace.
the thing. They will date. Now, if I right and quit this, or if I write this now and restart, the only going to show up is date, because these other ones aren't actually in our configuration file yet. They will be momentarily. Okay, now let's go through and change the BSPWM module. So if we go the rest of this stuff you can mess around with as you want.
Okay, so we share directly the model pins. I think it's good, but we see that there's a BSWM. So I will just the menu like the model BSWM. This model use the BSWM IPC client to display information about available monitor, desktop, and layout state. Okay, so for detail on how to configure the next, okay, value this allow you to update bedding bottom when the bar launch. So the accessible workspace cycling you are okay. Model support the net where action will send the correct command to change current. The my bar the grow up is private. Okay, just like I see. I think this is good. Okay, so we see pass in the my bar, and this is my bar. So to relay, okay, the basic thing to override default part PSW socket file. Okay, we need the model. Okay, and Okay, I will add this under the workspace. Right, it's like okay. Maybe it's we need to pay to simulate that. And okay, let's say just ties the internal PWA. Only so also verifies the power re 2 pins for me 2 in like 2 enable click and it's ground enable reverse I don't know set the code support 2 click the handle you to default to but we set the 2. Okay, we set to 2. I don't know. So, okay, and I listen from one. Okay, I will copy all of that into the okay. So we must add this or to the link. Okay. So I think we need some notion like B. It's like BS or P.M. To I can recognize that. You see, okay, and it's like okay, 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 and see. Okay. So maybe I will copy all the to the okay. And let's see what's exactly what's it do. Okay. So we will see that. Just read the code. Like oh, let's see huh. Yeah, we see the color. Yes, it's okay. So we need to
but
see
or
that.
you can delete as you want. Like so, the X window one we used, but the X keyboard we didn't. So we can actually go through and delete this. And I'm going to leave the file system one there because I may. But or you can delete as you want. Like so, the X window one we used, but the X keyboard we didn't. So we can actually go through and delete this. And I'm going to leave the file system one there because X keyboard.
Okay. Keyboard. We see in the part we use keyboard. What does keyboard mean? I don't know.
We didn't. So we can actually go through and delete this. And I'm going to leave the file system one there because I may use it later on. You can delete as you want. Like so, the X window one we used, but the X keyboard we didn't. So we can actually go through and delete this.
What's the X keyboard mean? Oh wow.
I'm going to leave the file system one there because I may use it later on. Now, the BSPWM is the thing that we want to change. So the first thing we need to do is change the padding. So change this to 0. I'm going to change.
It's quite. Okay, so I think let's use that. Delete. No. No. So it's this. And this is the function tools are operate the VS icon. Yeah, I know that.
When we roll these to 0. Now, if you'll notice, when we restart this, it looks like we're gonna change all this. Write this and restart those numbers to icons. So we can do that by inserting some code here. So what we're going to want to do is do W space dash icon dash 0. Alright, and then I'm going to go through and do equals 1. Okay, so this is for workspace 1, and then semicolon, and then the icon. So what I'm actually going to do is just go to the beginning of this line, yank it, and then go through and copy it a few times. So I'm going to go and change this here to 1, and this here to 2, and this here to 3, this here to 4, this here to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? And look at that, I copied the right number of lines. So we have 10 lines, we have, because this starts at 0, so we had 9 entries. So we'll change this one here to 2, change this here to 3, and then 10. We're also going to need a icon default, so we're just going to yank this again, change this to ws-icon-default, and then change this to delete to the end of the line. That way we do that now. So the next thing we're going to want to do is go find us some icons, and we can do that by searching for Font Awesome cheat sheet. And I actually have that in my history, so we're just going to go here. This is what the cheat sheet looks like, so let's search for, say, web browser. And let's see if we can find an icon for a web browser. I don't have Firefox installed, so I don't really want the Firefox logo, but I don't see it. Let's search for internet. Oh, you want to just to troll people? We'll go ahead and use the Internet Explorer icon. Why not? So we'll go back to our configuration file here. The Internet Explorer icon. Why not? So we'll go back to our configuration file here, and we'll change this word here. Oops. To this. So copy and paste the icon in. So now if we go through
sorry, what? It's not. It can't breathe.
and write this and restart, that actually didn't change anything. Why didn't it change anything? Oh, I don't know why. Okay.
It's why is can không read được. It's not. It's not. Nó nào cái ký tự chấm hỏi.
So in order for your icon to show up, we're lucky that I actually got that, quickly. So just change this word to, oops.
Có nhận không?
Right here, and this right here is just saying if I have an external monitor. It's in the description, few things command, and you can leave a link to and that what you can each of these mods. You can just 20% that. So for example, I want whenever it's capacity 0 or like 20% left, then I want it to turn red to let me know that my battery is almost out. So you can add this dash foreground in order to color it red, and of course after it's over, so you can for then they'll all
Just fonts. Okay. That font. Sort of web. What?
Copy.
No. No.
Arch.
Okay. So phải cài ạ. Okay. Okay. What?
Hey guys, today we're going to cover that. Yes. So anything that or fonts packages. So anything that matches TTF, like TTF Roboto or TTF Froggy Clean, or we could do something like this. We font packages we want. Say if we want TTF DE Jabu, or however you say that, yeah, or TTF Liberty.
Genau.
Liberation or Noto fonts. Let's install all of those, right? Basically just installing packages. Now there are other ways to install fonts, but let's try searching again, and let's try installing an arbitrary font. I'd like to try installing Roboto Inst3. Now you'll notice don't recognize that MathJax font. Any case, example, installed now. Anyways, you can put them in .local. Okay, so I only have a Jupyter directory in there, but if you were and place FC. Oh, all right. So now if we want to run FC cache, we should be able to do it. Now, FC cache may actually cause that to work. Access to its file. This file that you're going to want to add those fonts to. Now, you don't see for the time being. I'm just going to show you the command. I don't have the actual file to unpack, but if you wanted to unpack, so that command won't work. And again, relatively popular and worth giving a thumbs up in the video. May come in a DMG format, so a DMG package for
No, ở đây có đọc được. Tóm lại là vậy đi. Test on ESPVWM. Đúng không? PSPWM. PSPWM. Okay. It's nothing. That's awesome.
Will display correctly as long as you copy the glyph. If you don't want to copy from this website, there's other programs that you can use to search for glyphs. In this fonts here, something like, GNOME Character Map, if you want a GUI interface where you can select icons. I don't personally need it, I just copy.
Không nhớ mà. Lâu lắm ạ.
Copy from the NerdFonts website. kind of lazy. And you can also have different ramp values. So for example, for the battery, I don't just want it to have a singular icon because I want it to kind of show me if it's empty, if it's half full, something like that. So you can use this ramp capacity, at least for the battery. Different modules will also have ramp, and this is just like different states from 0 to 100. And so I can add all these different icons. I think you can go as high as you want if you have even smaller differences between these battery icons if you want. And what you can also do is you can change the color of these. So for example, it's so you can have it plugged in or not, and or you want to see a comprehensive guide for everything. Also change different parts of it, a label, and then background. So we can do format, and I like mine said. You can just check all these if you want a reference guide. But one more, even if you don't know that much about shell scripting, there is a repo here with a bunch of sample poly.
Curly. Có lệnh luôn.
To that directory and type out. And set my Linux console.
User share capability so far.
My Linux console to use, and I can do that through another simple command called set font, and then I'll put a space, and now I can use any of these fonts listed out to be set. So for example, I'll use the ISO 1-12x22 font, and that's because I missed a 0 up front. I'll put that 0 in, and now with the font set, you can see that things have changed up quite significantly here. The system to Squad. You install Terminus here on Arch, so I can use it in my tier and press whatever type of font that you like. Now I should console fonts directory to me now. So to the right hand side of the screen, I see a bunch of TERs with RD2. So this is just saying terminal. We can see, I think looks even this far. Please smash that like. And now we see how all of our letters look. Again, Linux count. We can do that by doing them. You can use FONT equal to E.P. but I'll save and pass if I type neofetch.
Hello there. So is dash, quite a few can be missed. So, and here, and that simplifies it quite a bit. So I'm gonna put this view and full package here. Paste that. Very really no comes up.
Linux more fonts to your Linux system. This user share fonts or user local share font. Fonts. Any fonts stored in those folders will be available system-wide, so you can use them as your current user, you can use them as root, or you can use any other user account that you may have on your system. You can also create a hidden fonts folder that is directly in your user's home folder if you only want those fonts to be accessible by that specific user. So let's take a look at some fonts that are already in my system. You can see this Roman SD.ttf, so that's a font that I just added recently. But I can go into this folder here, TrueType and Liberation, and you'll see the well-known Liberation font. These are all the different files for it here. So in Linux, fonts are essentially just a .ttf file. So to add more fonts, we just need to get more .ttf files. And a good place to do that, fonts, we just need to get more .ttf files. And a good place to do that is dafont.com. They have a whole bunch of different fonts that are available here. And you can also sort them in different ways. So the fonts that I want are obviously going to be GPL fonts or fonts that are 100% free, because there are certain fonts that are paid or they're only available to be used for personal use. So I guess you couldn't, like, I don't know, put this font on a t-shirt and sell it or whatever. But these 100% free fonts, they're basically Libre fonts, so you can use them in whatever way that you want. So you just want to download a bunch of these, and they're all going to come as zip files in different files. And a good place to do that is we just need to get more .t print files here, TrueType and Liberation. go into this folder here, true type, and own liberation, the font doc. You can also be used for basically Libre fonts. So I've already, yep, I have them inside of here. Thinking, man, zip them all. Now, it's not, name is not matched, but going to unzip it, and you're some additional stuff like there's readmes and things like that. Let me actually show you. The license.txt file. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. Let me show you in the GUI file manager as well. These are all the different TTF files, and of course there's like OTF that we junk file type. So what we're going to do now, and we're going to move it to, you're putting it in your system folder that's, well, it's able to be fonts. So let's go ahead and run that. This can take a little while to run. It usually takes about a minute or two on my system. I think it's more to do with maybe how many fonts you're trying to load at once. That, and then and that final step is to clear and regenerate your font cache with this command here, fccache, and then the F and V switches. So let's go ahead and run that. This can take a little while to run. It usually takes about a minute or two on my system. So you're trying to, but it says that now fonts like thumbnail here. Well, I guess I have to make a thumbnail for this video anyway. Brief set.
Nope. So no. Okay. Okay. Oh shit. Sorry. Không có gì trong đây luôn. Icon terminal. Run. To install the run can install it.
Welcome by. From our let's go over Ubuntu. Open Ubuntu in a window. We can close PowerShell. And you know the typical way to look around for that we want. So now we need to know the name -m, and that's going to get our architecture. So we're x86-64. Download that one. Download it here. A dual operating system, Linux, but our main system to Windows. So I have. Let's copy that. T/C username down. Zip this file. So we're going to do tar-x should be into that of /look access to that command. Like logo-ls-a for everything, and this will show you all the hidden files as well. Now, run logo now this is downloading to your Windows system. So I have a dual operating system, Linux, but our main system is Windows, so downloading it to Windows, so I have to actually move it. But we want to install basically these nice terminal icons for Ubuntu. So
How would you like to have cool icons in your terminal? What if you want icons in your status bar right here? As you can see, I have a Wi-Fi icon, a speaker, all of these different font. You can use that for the download here. Linux, there are instructions for Homebrew and for the AUR specifically. So if you fall into either of those categories, you can, if you're on Linux, then you can do that by just going to .local/share, and you're going to want to create a directory called fonts if you don't already. Paste it in here. You might have to run fc cache-f in order to clear the cache. See if this actually works. And if we open this up to get an easy act on that, and you can search for something specifically. Let's look for a Wi-Fi icon. See some here. Paste it in here. And we now have a Wi-Fi icon right here. And so this is how you would copy and paste icons if you want to configure one here called Sheet. Let's copy this, and you can install it just by going to .local, or if you want, because your font is probably going to be here already. We'll go to the downloads page. I will leave a link to this in the description. Then we're going to see a whole ton of different fonts right here. You can scroll through and pick your favorite. Let me just give you an example right here. Let's download this Space Mono Nerd font right here. You can also download this from the GitHub as well if you would rather use this. It's going to be in the GitHub under patched fonts. You can find everything there. I will leave a link to this in the description as well. But you can either download from this page, or if you are using macOS or maybe Arch Linux, there are instructions for Homebrew and for the AUR specifically. So if you fall into either of those categories, you can check out the download page right here and find some specific instructions for you. But let me download things the old school way. So I've just downloaded this. Let me go to my downloads folder, and I have Space Mono right here. Let me just unzip this. Let me go to my downloads folder, and I have Space Mono right here. Let me just unzip this. And you probably know how to install fonts already. If you're on Linux, then you can do that by just, let's copy this, and you can install it just by going to .local/share, and you're going to want to create a directory called fonts if you don't already. Paste it in here. You might have to run fc cache-f in order to clear the cache if it's not loading for you for whatever reason. But let's change the font in this terminal right here and see if this actually works. Alright, it's time for the moment of truth. Let's see if this works. Alright, the font is new. It works. Alright, it's time for the moment of truth. Let's see if this works. Alright, the font is new. And if we open this up, yep, all of our icons are working as you would expect. So that's a pretty quick and easy way to get a nerd font installed. But you might want some specific icon. It's not that easy actually to find some specific icon. Let's say I wanted to add a Wi-Fi icon to my status bar. How would I find that? So you can do that by going to the website, and there's going to be a button up here called Sheet. And so you can click on that and you can search for something specifically. Let's look for a Wi-Fi. So there's a whole bunch of different icon sets here, so you might see some conflicting styles. You can just pick your favorite. This is from Font Awesome. This is from Material Design Icons. I prefer this one a little bit more, so you can just copy this one with this copy icon button right here, paste it in here, and we now have a Wi-Fi icon right here. And so this is how you would copy and paste icons if you want to configure something like this. if you want to add this to your polybar configuration. If you want specifically some icons like this in your terminal prompt, I have a whole nother video on power level 10K on this list. Or if you can't download, do repos/repository/share - correct. If you really want to make